His maid was stealing food from his fridge. The truth behind it left him speechless. From his window, he could see the red dust stretching for miles, dotted with domes and antennas. Every day he worked in the lab, studying plant growth in Martian soil. He loved his work, but lately he noticed something strange happening at home. It started with small things. His favorite protein bars disappeared from the fridge. A pack of specially engineered fruit snacks vanished. Even the energy gels he used after his lab shifts were missing. At first, he thought he had misplaced them. Maybe he had eaten them and forgotten. But as days passed, it became clear the food was disappearing when he wasn't around. John was careful about security. His fridge was a smart appliance connected to the colony's AI system. It recorded who opened it and when. He pulled up the logs and paused. The footage showed a figure entering his apartment late at night. John leaned closer. The figure moved quietly, almost tiptoeing. Then he recognized the face, Lena, his maid. Lena had been working in the colony for years. She was efficient, cheerful, and always polite. She kept his apartment spotless and made sure he had fresh meals. He trusted her completely. Seeing her take his food made his heart pound, not with anger but confusion. The next morning, John decided to confront her. He waited until she arrived with the cleaning supplies. "Lena," he said, keeping his voice calm, "I saw the footage. Can you explain why you're taking food from my fridge?" Lena's eyes widened. She held the cloth a little tighter in her hands. I can explain, sir," she said softly, "but you might not understand at first." John raised an eyebrow. "Try me, I need to know why my food is disappearing." Lena hesitated, glancing toward the door. She seemed nervous, yet determined. "It's not for me," she said finally. "It's for someone else." John frowned. "Someone else?" He felt a mix of frustration and curiosity. "Who, and why didn't you ask me?" "I couldn't," Lena whispered. "I had to act quickly or they wouldn't have survived." John's heart thumped. He had always known Mars was harsh, but he never imagined someone living secretly outside the colony. "Survived? Who are you talking about?" Lena looked down at her hands. "I can show you if you promise not to be angry." John paused. The scientist in him wanted proof. The man in him wanted answers. "Okay," he said slowly. "Show me." That night, after finishing his lab work, John followed Lena as she left the apartment. She moved carefully through the settlement, avoiding the main paths. John realized she knew the colony like the back of her hand. She led him to an old service tunnel, a place few people visited. Inside, the tunnel was dark, but Lena had a small portable light. They walked for a few minutes until they reached a hidden chamber. John's eyes widened. Inside, a small group of humans huddled together. They were thin but alert with bright eyes. They looked up as Lena entered, then relaxed when they saw her. "These are the people I've been feeding," Lena explained. "They were left behind after a supply ship malfunctioned. The colony didn't know they were here. They had no way to survive without help." John felt a rush of emotions. Surprise, concern, awe. These humans had been surviving in secret in the harsh Martian environment, relying on Lena to bring them food. He looked at them closely. Despite their struggles, they had built a clever system to collect water from condensation, store it carefully, and recycle what little food they had. "How did you survive?" John asked quietly. One of the older men with a kind face and gray hair spoke. "We've learned to make the best of what we have. Mars is hard, but humans are clever. We find ways to adapt." John nodded slowly. He felt a strange admiration. These people were not weak. They were resourceful, brave, and patient. And Lena had been risking her job and her reputation to help them. "Why didn't you tell me?" John asked Lena. "I couldn't," she said. "If I told the colony, they might have taken them away. They wouldn't survive being moved back to the main settlement. They need time to grow stronger to learn to live here." John took a deep breath. He looked at the hidden community. He realized they were surviving not just because of Lena, but because humans have an incredible ability to adapt, even in extreme conditions. I understand now," he said slowly. "You weren't stealing, you were helping." Lena smiled faintly, relieved. "Exactly, I didn't want to deceive you, but I had no choice." John spent the night talking with the group. They shared their stories, their struggles, and the clever ways they had found to survive with minimal resources. He learned about the tiny garden they had created with recycled soil, the traps they used to collect small insects for protein, and the devices they built from scrap electronics to generate heat and light. By the end of the night, John's mind was racing. He was amazed. These humans had faced extreme challenges, yet they never gave up. They worked together, shared knowledge, and found hope in every small success. He realized that human ingenuity was not just in his lab experiments. It was alive here, thriving in the harsh red world outside the colony. Before leaving, John turned to Lena. "You've done something incredible," he said. "I've always studied human potential in the lab, but I see it now in real life. You and this group, you're amazing." Lena blushed. "We're just surviving," she said quietly. "Surviving is amazing here," John replied. "But we can do more. We can help you survive even better." He didn't yet know how, but an idea was forming. He would use his scientific knowledge to create a system to help them. Not just food, everything they needed to thrive. He felt a new sense of purpose. This wasn't just about experiments anymore. It was about real people, real lives, and the power of human determination. As he walked back to his apartment, John couldn't stop thinking. Lena had risked everything to help these people, and now he wanted to join her mission. The first step was understanding the problem, and he had just taken that step. Back in his apartment, he opened his smart fridge, now full and untouched. He looked at the empty spaces where his favorite snacks had once been. Instead of frustration, he felt gratitude. These items had fed hope, kept lives alive, and now they had inspired him. That night, John couldn't sleep. He thought about Mars, the harsh environment, the hidden community, and Lena's bravery. He realized humans are capable of extraordinary things, even when circumstances seem impossible. This was only the beginning. The strange discovery of missing food had turned into something far greater than John ever imagined. It was a story of courage, survival, and the extraordinary potential of humans working together. He smiled to himself. Tomorrow, he would start planning a way to help them, and perhaps, in doing so, discover the full power of human ingenuity. For the first time in weeks, John felt a spark of excitement that had nothing to do with his experiments. It was about people, real people, and their incredible ability to survive, adapt, and thrive. The next morning, John woke early. Mars's thin sunlight streamed through his window, painting his apartment in pale orange. Despite the beauty outside, his mind was busy with questions. He couldn't stop thinking about the hidden community Lena had shown him the night before. How long had they been living there? How did they survive without detection? And most importantly, how could he help? John brewed a cup of synthetic coffee and sat by the window, watching the settlement come alive. Colonists moved through the pathways, heading to work, transport shuttles, and research labs. They seemed so busy, so confident in their routines. And yet, just beyond their sight, a group of humans lived quietly, struggling to survive, relying on the courage and secrecy of one brave maid. Lena arrived at the apartment at her usual time. She was carrying cleaning supplies, but her expression was serious. John greeted her. "Lena," he said, "I need to understand everything. You told me last night that the community survives because of you, but how did this start? Why are they here in the first place?" Lena took a deep breath. "It started a few years ago," she began. "There was a supply ship carrying colonists and resources. Something went wrong during landing. Most of the ship's people were rescued, but a small group was left stranded outside the colony. The authorities didn't know they were missing. I discovered them while delivering supplies in an area not regularly monitored." John listened carefully. Every word fascinated him. He had always studied human survival in extreme environments theoretically, but here it was in reality, real humans, real challenges. "They were starving," Lena continued. "They had no food, no clean water, nothing to survive on. I knew I couldn't just leave them. So I started bringing small amounts of food from my work and from my own rations." John frowned. "But taking food from my fridge, you were risking your job. Why not ask for permission?" "I couldn't," Lena said quietly. "If anyone knew, they would have been taken back to the main colony. They weren't ready for that. They needed time to adapt, to learn how to survive on Mars, and I couldn't wait for official approval." John leaned back in his chair, thinking. Lena's choice was brave. She had acted alone, trusting humans' ability to survive. And judging from what he had seen, her trust had been rewarded. The hidden community had built clever ways to collect water, grow small amounts of food, and recycle almost everything. It was not perfect, but it worked. "I need to see them again," John said finally. "I need to understand how they survive." Lena hesitated. "Are you sure? It's dangerous for them if anyone else discovers their location." "I'm careful," John assured her. And I want to help. I think we can do more than just survive. We can create a system to make sure they thrive. That night, John followed Lena back to the hidden chamber. The path through the service tunnels felt different now. He was no longer an observer just sneaking behind a maid. He was part of a mission. The community greeted them warmly. Children peeked from behind makeshift shelters, and adults smiled with cautious curiosity. John noticed their resourcefulness immediately. They had fashioned small solar collectors, simple filtration devices, and even a tiny hydroponic garden using recycled water. Lena had been teaching them without anyone realizing it. John knelt beside one of the older children. "How do you grow these plants?" he asked. The child's eyes sparkled. "We mix Martian soil with water from the filtration tank. Lena showed us how to give plants light without wasting energy. The plants grow slowly, but they grow." John was amazed. These humans were creative and intelligent. Despite their hardships, they had hope and determination. He felt inspired. Lena led John to a quiet corner. "I want you to see something else," she said. She showed him a small storage area. It contained the food she had brought from his apartment and other sources. "This is all they have," she said. "Every day I make sure it's enough for everyone, but it's not perfect. Sometimes there isn't enough for all." John's mind raced. There had to be a better way. He had access to lab equipment, 3D printing technology, and nutrient synthesis machines. Perhaps he could create a sustainable system, something that didn't depend on smuggling food. "Lena," he said, "we can build a system that produces food here using the minimal resources we have. We can make it self-sufficient. That way they don't have to rely on smuggled supplies, and we can ensure no one goes hungry." Lena's eyes widened. "Do you think that's possible?" "I know it is," John said confidently. "I've studied nutrient extraction and synthetic food printing. I just need time and access to equipment." Over the next few days, John visited the hidden community secretly. He observed their routines, asked questions, and made notes. He was fascinated by their creativity. They used broken pipes as irrigation systems, old lights as heat sources, and even recycled scraps of electronics to power small devices. Every challenge they faced, they turned into an opportunity to innovate. One evening, John sat with Lena outside the tunnel entrance. The Martian sky was clear and the stars shone bright. "I've never seen humans adapt like this," he said. "Even in the lab, I can't replicate this level of creativity and resilience. They are incredible," Lena smiled. "Humans have always been like this. We survive no matter what, but sometimes it takes someone to believe in us to see our true potential." John thought about it. Lena had not only believed in these people, she had risked her safety to support them. Her actions were extraordinary. He felt a deep respect for her courage. The next morning, John returned to his lab with a plan. He began designing a system that could produce food, recycle water, and provide energy for the community. He sketched diagrams, calculated nutrient requirements, and planned solar energy collectors. Every detail mattered. He imagined a small, hidden facility that could operate independently, yet safely. Days turned into weeks. John worked tirelessly, often staying up late into the Martian night. Lena visited him with updates from the community. She told him about the children learning to plant seeds, the adults refining filtration systems, and the quiet triumphs of survival. Every story strengthened John's resolve. Finally, John completed the initial design. He showed it to Lena. "This system will create enough food for everyone automatically," he explained. "It uses Martian soil, recycled water, and solar energy. It's safe, sustainable, and completely hidden from the main colony." Lena examined the diagrams. This could change everything," she said softly. "We wouldn't have to risk stealing food anymore. We could focus on teaching and growing stronger." John nodded. "Exactly, and one day when they are ready, we can introduce them to the colony. But for now, they can survive and thrive on their own terms." That night, they returned to the hidden chamber. John watched the community interact, helping each other, sharing stories, and laughing despite the harsh environment. He realized that their greatest strength wasn't the food, the water, or the small technology. They were strong because of their unity, creativity, and determination. He turned to Lena. "You've done something remarkable," he said. "Not just bringing food, but inspiring hope." "This community, they are proof that humans are extraordinary," Lena smiled faintly. "We all are," she said. "Sometimes we just need a little help to see it." John knew that their journey was just beginning. The system he designed would take time to build and challenges would arise. But he felt confident. With Lena's courage and the community's resourcefulness, he knew they could succeed. As he lay in his apartment that night, John reflected on the lessons he had learned. Humans are capable of incredible things, especially when they work together. Adaptability, creativity, and courage were the keys to survival. And sometimes, a small act of kindness, like Lena's, could change the course of many lives. He closed his eyes, thinking of the hidden community, the children learning to grow plants, and the adults solving problems with clever tools. He felt proud to be part of this secret mission, to witness the resilience of humans in the harshest conditions imaginable. The strange discovery of disappearing food had led him to something far greater than he could have imagined. A chance to witness human ingenuity, bravery, and the power of hope. And John knew that the next step, building the system, would be the beginning of an even greater adventure. The days on Mars passed slowly, but John felt a new energy inside him. Every morning he worked in his lab, sketching designs, testing small machines, and calculating nutrient requirements. Every evening he returned to the hidden community with Lena, sharing ideas and observing their routines. He was learning more than he ever had in a classroom or laboratory. Humans, he realized, were capable of brilliance when faced with challenges. But as he spent time with the hidden community, a question began to trouble him. The colony authorities were strict. If anyone discovered the community, they would likely force them back to the main settlement. They would not understand the delicate balance Lena had built, and the group's survival might be in jeopardy. John was torn. One evening, as he repaired a small solar-powered water pump, Lena approached him quietly. "John," she said, her voice low, "do you ever worry about what might happen if the authorities find out about us?" John sighed. "Every day," he admitted. "I know the community could be taken away and that would undo everything, but if we continue hiding, we risk being discovered anyway." Lena nodded. "I've thought about that too, but I can't stop helping them. They need time to learn to adapt, and we can't just abandon them." John paused, watching the children gather small plants from the hydroponic garden. They laughed as one of them spilled a bit of water, trying to water 2 plants at once. Their joy, despite the hardships, reminded him why he was here. He couldn't simply turn his back. "Maybe we can do both," he said slowly. "We can help them survive and thrive and at the same time find a way to eventually introduce them safely to the colony. But we have to be careful. Every decision matters." Over the next few days, John focused on understanding the community's daily life. He observed how they collected water, how they managed limited energy, and how they shared resources. Every task required ingenuity and teamwork. The older members taught the younger ones, passing knowledge quietly but effectively. John realized something important. Survival was not just about food or water. It was about learning, adapting, and building trust. Lena's role was crucial. She was more than a caretaker. She was a teacher, a guide, and a symbol of hope. One night, after helping repair a broken filtration unit, John and Lena sat outside the tunnel entrance, looking at the Martian sky. "You've done something remarkable," John said softly. "You've given them hope and taught them to survive on their own. I've never seen humans so clever and strong." Lena smiled, but her eyes were thoughtful. "It hasn't been easy. Every day I worry they won't make it. Every day I wonder if I'm doing enough." John placed a hand on her shoulder. "You're doing more than enough, and now we can do more together. We can create a system that allows them to live safely without risking smuggling food every night." They spent hours discussing possibilities. John explained his ideas for a sustainable food system using Martian soil, recycled water, and solar energy. Lena shared her observations about the community's habits, their strengths, and their needs. Together, they designed a plan that balanced safety, efficiency, and the humans' learning experience. But the more John thought about it, the more he realized the challenges. Building the system would require resources from the colony: equipment, raw materials, and time. How could he access them without raising suspicion? How could he ensure the community remained hidden while he worked on the project? He spent nights pacing his apartment, considering every angle. The moral dilemma weighed heavily on him. If he reported the community, they would be discovered and their independence might be lost. If he acted alone, he risked violating colony rules and his own safety. Yet doing nothing was not an option. Finally, John made a decision. He would proceed carefully, using his scientific knowledge to create the system secretly. Lena would help him coordinate deliveries of small equipment without anyone noticing. They would take one step at a time, ensuring the community's survival while minimizing risk. The next morning, John returned to the community. He explained the plan in simple words so everyone could understand. "We're going to build a system that provides food, water, and energy automatically," he said. "It will help you survive without depending on outside help." The community listened quietly, their eyes wide with hope and curiosity. For the first time, some of them smiled freely, imagining a life where hunger and scarcity were not constant worries. Lena added, "We will teach you how to use it. You will learn to manage it, repair it, and even improve it. This system is not just about survival, it's about learning and growing stronger." Over the next weeks, John began assembling small components in his lab. He experimented with Martian soil mixtures, creating nutrient-rich blocks that could support plant growth. He designed simple solar collectors that could power small pumps and lights. He built a mini hydroponic unit to test water recycling. Every success brought him closer to the real system. Meanwhile, Lena continued her nightly visits, bringing updates and monitoring the community's progress. She taught them small skills: how to manage water efficiently, how to organize their energy use, and how to protect their plants from the harsh Martian environment. John noticed how quickly they learned. Even children helped with minor tasks, showing intelligence and curiosity beyond their years. One day, a challenge arose. A small dust storm swept across the settlement, shaking the tunnels and covering the hidden chamber with a fine layer of red dust. John and Lena rushed to check on the community. They found that the storm had damaged a portion of the hydroponic setup and knocked over some water containers. John quickly assessed the situation. "It's not too bad," he said. "We can fix this." But it shows why we need a stronger system, one that can withstand Mars's challenges. The community worked together to repair the damage. Children cleaned the dust from the plants, while adults stabilized the water containers. Lena guided them patiently, and John provided technical support. By the evening, the chamber was back in order. That night, John and Lena reflected on the events. "This is exactly why our system is needed," John said. "Mars is unpredictable. Humans are resourceful, yes, but we need to give them tools that can help them thrive even in the worst conditions." Lena nodded. "And they are ready to learn, we just have to guide them carefully." As John continued his work, he realized another important lesson. Survival was not just about providing resources. It was about fostering independence, teaching problem-solving, and encouraging creativity. The hidden community had survived this long because they adapted, experimented, and learned from each other. The system he was building would not replace their ingenuity, it would enhance it. Weeks turned into months. Slowly, John and Lena implemented small parts of the system. They tested nutrient blocks in secret, built miniature solar panels, and installed simple water pumps. The community watched with fascination, helping when they could. Children learned to tend small plants, while adults experimented with new ways to conserve water and energy. Through it all, John observed something remarkable. The humans thrived not just because of the system, but because they were learning. Every success, every challenge, every small repair taught them more about Mars, about survival, and about human potential. One evening, as John checked the solar collectors, Lena approached him. "Do you ever think about what will happen when the colony finds out?" she asked. John thought for a moment. "I do. But I believe that when humans see other humans solving problems, creating systems, and thriving, they will be impressed, not angry. This community is an example of what we can do when we work together." Lena smiled. "You're right. And maybe one day this system will help others too, not just our hidden friends here." John nodded. The moral dilemma that had troubled him at first was still present, but now it was clearer. The right choice was not always the easiest or safest. Sometimes it meant taking risks, acting carefully, and trusting humans' ability to adapt and learn. By the end of the month, the first full version of the hidden system was ready for testing. It could produce nutrient blocks, recycle water, and power small lights and pumps. The community gathered around as John explained its functions. Lena guided them through the operation, showing them how to maintain and improve it. When they activated the system, a quiet excitement filled the chamber. The nutrient blocks began forming, water flowed through the pumps, and small lights illuminated the plants. For the first time, the hidden community could see a future where they could survive without constant fear or struggle. John watched, feeling a sense of pride and hope. Lena stood beside him, smiling softly. Together, they had taken the first step toward transforming lives. That night, John wrote notes in his lab journal. He reflected on the lessons he had learned: human adaptability, courage, creativity, and the power of guidance and support. The hidden community had shown him that even in the harshest environment, humans could thrive when given the right tools and encouragement. He closed the journal, looking out at the red Martian landscape. Tomorrow, the system would be tested fully, and the community would take its first real steps toward independence. John knew challenges would come, storms would strike, and obstacles would arise. But he also knew humans, guided by courage, ingenuity, and hope, were capable of overcoming anything. And in that realization, John found a deep sense of purpose. He was no longer just a scientist working on experiments. He was part of a living example of human potential, right here on Mars. The Martian sun rose slowly over the settlement, casting a soft orange glow across John's apartment. Today was the day. After weeks of preparation, testing, and planning, the hidden community's new sustainable system would finally go live. John felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. Every calculation, every experiment, every adjustment had led to this moment. He glanced at Lena, who stood beside him, her expression calm but determined. "We're ready," she said quietly. "Everything is in place." John nodded. "Let's hope the system works as planned." They made their way through the service tunnels, carrying the last components for the system. The community had gathered inside the hidden chamber, curious and eager to see the result. Children peered from behind makeshift walls, while adults adjusted small devices and checked water reservoirs. The atmosphere was tense but hopeful. John took a deep breath and began explaining the system. "This device will produce nutrient blocks using Martian soil and recycled water. The solar panels will power pumps and lights, providing energy for irrigation and small lights. Lena will teach you how to operate it, maintain it, and even improve it over time." The community listened intently. Lena guided them through each step, demonstrating how the water pumps worked, how to check nutrient levels, and how to ensure the solar panels stayed aligned for maximum energy. John added technical explanations, but always in simple, clear language so everyone could understand. Finally, it was time to activate the system. John pressed a small button on the control panel. Immediately, pumps whirred to life, moving water through the tubes. Small machines began producing nutrient blocks, each one carefully balanced for human consumption. Tiny lights turned on, illuminating the plants in the hydroponic garden. The children gasped, the adults smiled. For the first time, the hidden community could see a glimpse of a future where they didn't have to worry constantly about hunger or scarcity. "This is amazing," one of the adults exclaimed. "We can finally grow enough food for everyone." John smiled, feeling a surge of pride. He turned to Lena. "You've done it," he said. "They're ready to thrive." Over the next few days, John and Lena supervised the system's operation. The community quickly adapted, learning how to check nutrient levels, maintain the pumps, and monitor energy usage. Children helped by watering plants and observing growth patterns, while adults experimented with adjusting nutrient mixtures to improve efficiency. John watched closely. He realized that the system did more than provide food and water. It encouraged problem-solving, experimentation, and learning. The humans were thriving not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. They felt empowered, capable, and hopeful. One evening, a small problem arose. A minor power fluctuation caused one of the pumps to stop briefly. John and Lena rushed to fix it, showing the community how to troubleshoot and repair the device. The adults immediately learned the procedure and were able to fix it themselves the next time it happened. "This is what I wanted," John thought. "They are not just surviving, they are learning, adapting, and taking responsibility for their own success." Days turned into weeks. The hidden community's life began to change. The hydroponic garden flourished, providing fresh greens and vegetables. The nutrient blocks produced by the system ensured everyone had enough food. Water recycling worked perfectly, conserving precious resources. And the solar panels provided reliable energy, even during dust storms. John and Lena noticed something remarkable. The humans had begun to innovate beyond the original system. One of the adults designed a simple wind-driven fan to improve air circulation in the chamber. Children experimented with planting different types of seeds, observing which grew best in Martian soil. The community had transformed from passive survivors into active creators. John felt a deep sense of satisfaction. This was the essence of human ingenuity, using limited resources, learning from challenges, and constantly improving. Lena had started the journey with small acts of courage, and now, with the system in place, the community was reaching new heights. One afternoon, John and Lena stood outside the tunnel entrance looking at the chamber from a distance. "I can't believe how far they've come," Lena said, her eyes shining. "They've not only survived, but they're thriving, and it's only the beginning." John nodded. "It's incredible. Lena, you took a risk by helping them, and now your actions have created a real change. You've shown me what humans are capable of even in the harshest conditions." Suddenly, a child ran up to them holding a small plant. "Look!" the child exclaimed. "I grew it myself," John smiled. "That's wonderful. You're learning fast. Keep experimenting and observing. That's how humans thrive." As the weeks passed, the hidden community became more independent. John and Lena gradually reduced their involvement, allowing the humans to operate the system on their own. They observed from a distance, offering guidance only when necessary. The community had internalized the lessons of adaptation, problem-solving, and teamwork. One day, a new challenge appeared. A larger dust storm approached the settlement, stronger than any they had seen before. The winds rattled the tunnels, and red dust filled the air. John and Lena feared that the system might be damaged. But when they arrived at the chamber, they saw the community working together calmly and efficiently. Adults secured the solar panels, children covered plants with protective sheets, and everyone reinforced the water storage units. Thanks to the lessons John and Lena had taught them, the community was prepared. After the storm passed, the system was intact. The plants survived, the water reservoirs were full, and the energy systems continued to operate. The hidden community had faced the challenge successfully without any outside help. John watched with awe. "This is it," he said to Lena. "They've learned to adapt, survive, and thrive on their own. This is human potential at its best." Lena smiled. And it all started with small acts of courage, learning, and trust. As the sun set over Mars, the hidden community gathered around the hydroponic garden. They celebrated their survival, their achievements, and the knowledge that they could continue to grow stronger every day. Children laughed, adults shared ideas, and everyone felt a sense of pride and hope. John reflected on everything that had happened. The journey had begun with a simple mystery, missing food from his fridge. But it had led to something far greater, the creation of a self-sustaining system that empowered humans to thrive in an environment that seemed impossible. He realized that human ingenuity, adaptability, and teamwork were the true sources of survival. Technology, planning, and guidance were important, but the greatest strength came from within the humans themselves, their creativity, determination, and willingness to learn. John and Lena knew there were still challenges ahead. The colony authorities might eventually discover the hidden community. Dust storms, equipment failures, and unexpected problems could arise. But for now, they had achieved something extraordinary. The humans had gone from struggling survivors to independent, thriving creators. John felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He had not only contributed to their survival, but had witnessed the essence of human potential in action. Lena's courage, the community's determination, and their collective creativity had transformed a harsh, unforgiving world into a place where hope, learning, and growth could flourish. That night, as John returned to his apartment, he looked out over the Martian landscape. The red dust stretched endlessly, but within it, a hidden story of human triumph had been written. He smiled, knowing that humans, when faced with challenges, could create solutions, learn, and thrive, even in the most unlikely places. And in that realization, John understood something profound. The journey of humanity was not defined by the difficulties it faced, but by the courage, creativity, and collaboration it showed in overcoming them. Weeks passed after the successful launch of the sustainable system. The hidden community had grown stronger and more independent. The children thrived, learning about plants, water, and energy. Adults experimented with improving the system, creating small devices to make life easier. John and Lena watched from a distance, proud of the transformation they had helped guide. Despite their success, a quiet concern lingered in John's mind. The colony authorities had not discovered the hidden chamber yet, but it was only a matter of time. John wondered how they would react. Would they punish Lena for acting secretly? Would they take the community back to the main settlement? The uncertainty made his stomach twist, even as he admired the community's resilience. One morning, while John worked on a new nutrient block design in his lab, Lena approached with a serious expression. "John," she said, "there's a team of inspectors scheduled to check the tunnels near the settlement tomorrow. They might come close to the hidden chamber." John's heart raced. "We have to prepare. We can't let them discover the community yet. They're not ready to be exposed fully," Lena nodded. "But maybe we can show them something. If we demonstrate the system, they might understand our intentions." John considered this. It was risky, but perhaps honesty and a demonstration of human ingenuity could turn a potential problem into an opportunity. "You're right," he said finally. "We'll show them the system. We need to highlight the community's creativity, independence, and resilience." The next day, the inspectors arrived. John and Lena guided them through the tunnels to the hidden chamber. The inspectors expected an abandoned area or perhaps illegal activity. Instead, they found a thriving community, fully engaged in managing the sustainable system. Nutrient blocks were being produced, plants flourished in the hydroponic garden, and solar-powered pumps hummed quietly. One inspector gasped. "I didn't expect this," he said. "This is incredible." John stepped forward. "These humans were stranded here. They had no support, no guidance, and no hope. Lena has been helping them survive, and I've been assisting in creating a system that allows them to thrive independently." The inspectors moved carefully, observing the community. Children watered plants and checked nutrient levels under the guidance of adults. The adults adjusted pumps, monitored energy, and even experimented with small improvements. Every action demonstrated intelligence, creativity, and teamwork. Lena spoke. "This community is not just surviving. They are learning, experimenting, and growing stronger every day. The system allows them to thrive while encouraging independence and problem-solving." The inspectors exchanged glances, clearly impressed. One of them stepped forward. This is extraordinary. It's not just about survival. It's about teaching and empowering humans to adapt. This could be a model for other settlements." John smiled. "Exactly. Humans, even in the harshest conditions, can innovate, learn, and thrive. We've just provided the tools and guidance. The true strength lies in their creativity and determination." The inspectors spent hours examining the system, asking questions, and observing the community. Every answer John and Lena gave highlighted the ingenuity, adaptability, and collaborative spirit of the hidden humans. By the end of the visit, the inspectors were not only convinced of the system's success, but also inspired by the community's resilience. Finally, the lead inspector spoke. "John, Lena, what you've done here is remarkable. We were ready to enforce rules and perhaps relocate these humans, but seeing their independence and innovation, we are impressed. This is a demonstration of the very best of human potential." John felt a surge of relief. The risk had paid off. Instead of punishment, they received recognition. More importantly, the hidden community would remain in their home, now officially acknowledged and protected by the colony. Lena turned to John, her eyes shining. "We did it," she whispered. "They understand now. The community can continue to grow safely." John nodded, thinking of the journey that had brought them here. It had started with missing food from his fridge, a small, strange mystery. But that mystery had revealed something far greater, the extraordinary power of humans to survive, adapt, and innovate. Over the following weeks, the community adjusted to their new status. While still living in the hidden chamber, they received official support in secret. Supplies, tools, and educational materials arrived regularly. John continued to guide them, helping improve the system while respecting their independence. Lena taught lessons in resource management, problem-solving, and teamwork. The children thrived, exploring small experiments in plant growth and water recycling. Adults built new devices to improve the system, inventing simple machines that made life easier. John realized that the hidden community had transformed from struggling survivors to confident, inventive humans capable of thriving in one of the harshest environments in the solar system. One evening, John and Lena stood outside the tunnel entrance, watching the sun set over Mars. The sky was painted in brilliant oranges and reds, and the surface of the planet seemed both harsh and beautiful. "Look at them," John said softly. "They've grown so much." "This is what humans can do, create, adapt, and thrive even against incredible odds." Lena nodded. "And it all started with a small act of courage. I took a risk to help them, and now they are thriving. Humans are amazing, John. I've seen it firsthand." John smiled. "Yes, and I've learned something important, too. We often underestimate what humans are capable of. But when given the right tools, guidance, and trust, we can do extraordinary things." The community gathered nearby, celebrating another day of success. Children laughed, adults discussed new ideas, and everyone shared knowledge. The system hummed quietly, providing food, water, and energy while encouraging learning and innovation. John reflected on the journey. From a simple question about missing food to the creation of a thriving, independent community, he had witnessed the essence of human potential. Ingenuity, creativity, collaboration, and courage had transformed lives on a planet once thought impossible to inhabit. He turned to Lena. "We've done more than just help them survive. We've empowered them. We've shown what humans can achieve when we work together, learn from challenges, and never give up." Lena smiled. "And the best part is, they've taken it further than we ever imagined. They are growing, learning, and thriving on their own. That's the true measure of success." John nodded. He felt a deep sense of satisfaction, knowing that their work had made a lasting difference. The hidden community was no longer just surviving. They were living, learning, and thriving as humans were meant to do. As night fell over Mars, John returned to his apartment, looking out at the red horizon. The stars twinkled brightly in the sky, reminding him that humanity's journey was far from over. There were challenges ahead, new planets to explore, and more opportunities to help humans adapt and thrive in the universe. But for now, he felt at peace. The hidden community had survived, thrived, and inspired him with their courage, creativity, and determination. Lena had shown him the power of compassion and risk-taking. And together, they had witnessed the best of humanity, proof that humans, even in the harshest conditions, are capable of greatness. John closed his eyes, thinking of the journey that had started with something as small as missing food. It had led to an incredible adventure, revealing the true potential of humans on Mars. And he knew one thing for certain: this was only the beginning. Humanity had the power to adapt, to create, and to thrive, no matter the odds. The hidden community's laughter and activity echoed in his mind. They had become living proof that human ingenuity, courage, and collaboration could overcome the harshest environments. And John knew that in the years to come, this story would inspire others across the colony, and perhaps, one day, across the universe. For the first time in a long while, John felt a sense of wonder and hope that went beyond science. It was the wonder of witnessing humans at their very best. And as he drifted to sleep that night, he smiled, knowing that the journey of humanity on Mars and beyond was only just beginning.